Overtime Podcast. My name is Vince Delicio, and every week our amazing team brainstorms on ideas, ultimately deciding on one topic to build the show. With a little help from people in the community, coming together to answer one question, one topic. This week, that topic is interesting sports jobs. We hope you enjoy the next 20 minutes. Welcome to Overtime.
Hi, my name is Will Case from Arizona State University with the Varsity Sports Show. Today I'm here with Nathan Quintanar, who currently has a job in sports. So, Nate, what job do you currently have in sports?
So right now I'm in athletic training. Pretty much we have a track meet today, so like that's where I have to go later on today, and then we have a tennis tournament like this weekend. So like right now it's pretty much all big in track and tennis right now.
And how long have you been working this job in sports?
I always had my passions for sports, and then seeing my players succeed, even like during an injury. So I've been working for about 4 years.
And how did you initially get this specific job?
I got my bachelor's in Laverne and then my master's in CBU, Cal Baptist.
And did you just like apply for this job or how did you specifically land it?
So mostly, yeah, I did. I know like because before like I started like going to the universities, I went to a community college first, went to RCC, and then I got to know like everything, like the players, the coaches, like the whole staff. And then I just wanted to be back home and then go to RCC to end my career there.
Nice. So, what is your favorite thing about working in sports?
It's just a passion for sports. I always had a passion like with football, track, swimming, and all the other sports. And then like getting connections with all the other players, staff, and then the NCAA and all that stuff.
And so on the flip side, what would you say your least favorite thing about working in sports is?
Um, Least favorite thing is like not knowing like all of us like learn something new each day. So like it's something like man, I didn't like, get like I didn't know like how to help like, a player out. So that's like the least favorite thing about this is just not knowing something.
And final question, do you find it hard balancing a social life and why or why not?
No, not really, because you are connecting like with you know, people a lot. And then social, you're pretty much hanging out with your family almost like every weekend. Saturdays, yeah, we're there like maybe 8 to like 6. And then other than that, we get like a lot of breaks. We transition into like different hours. So sometimes like I'll come in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning to like, maybe 2. And then, like another person will come like 2 to like 8. And then like we'll kind of like transfer there, like balance it out.
All right, thank you. So tune in to Varsity Sports Show's Overtime podcast with host Vince Delicio, streaming on Spotify and all major platforms every Monday. Stay in the game with the latest in high school and college sports and follow us on Instagram and X. Search Varsity Sports Show for all the action. Hit that follow button and never miss a play.
Hi, I'm Savannah Jednich with the Varsity Sports Show, and this is the Overtime Podcast. I'm joined with Melissa Alvera. She works at the Silver Knights practice facility, was a Raiders ambassador, and is now an intern for the City Lights soccer team. Melissa, can you briefly introduce yourself and what led you to where you are today?
My name is Melissa. I'm 22 years old. I'm currently enrolled at CSN and will be joining UNLV in the fall. I have just been a big sports fan ever since I was literally born. And I knew since then that I just wanted to be within the sports world, whatever it may be. And I think as I grew up, I realized that media has a big part of it. So like she said, I'm a communications intern now for the Las Vegas Lights, and I'm really excited to just like jump in the action and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So I remember you used to work at Vans. What was the transition going from there into your first sports job?
Yeah, so I just applied online. I didn't realize that, not that it would be so easy, but if you just apply yourself, you can get to where you need. I think also being a supervisor technically at Vans definitely shows my work ethic as a person. So I first got an interview at America First Center, which is where the Silver Knights practice, and I work for guest services or front desk there. And the interview was pretty easy, just kind of asking me what I do, what I like, and things like that, and got the job pretty easily, so that's nice. But it was a pretty smooth transition. I think just putting yourself out there was the main thing for me.
And then can you walk me through a day in your life?
So for the arena, if I do a morning shift, which is 5:30 a.m. to 11, I get in, I turn on the TVs, I check both rinks, make sure everything's good. I check the schedule for the day, make sure all locker rooms are assigned correctly, and that's pretty much all I do in the mornings. And I check in people throughout the day. We have different things going on, if it's a tournament or if it's like stick and puck and open skate, things like that. I'm definitely just that front person who answers all the questions, gets people connected to other departments where they need to be. So that's pretty much that. And then for a Raiders ambassador, I guess I can walk through a game day. So we get there pretty early at 8 a.m. And I worked the Modelo tailgate zone, which is Raiders' own tailgate that they create for the fans. And we would set up everything, make sure everything was clean, make sure everything was working and like active or whatnot. And I was working the face paint activation zone, which is so cute, like seeing adults or just children like get their face painted, whether it was like full like black and silver or like an eye patch. It was very cute. But mainly just like talking to customers and fans and just getting them hyped up for the game, whether they were going to the game or not. I think just being that presence of like Raiders is very important. And then during the game, I did the t-shirt toss, which was super fun. And I would just wait until the third quarter and we would go and throw the t-shirts to fans, which was intimidating at first because they're such passionate fans. But overall, it was very fun. So yeah, that's pretty much my day.
That sounds really exciting. As a longtime sports fan, I know that the Raiders is a fairly new team. How does it feel knowing that all these opportunities are opening up in the sports industry in Vegas?
It is very exciting. I think a lot of people have been sports fans in Vegas and have been waiting for these opportunities to come. And I think it's exciting. I think Vegas is a sports city, and I think we're showing that every year as we add more sports teams and get more publicity. So it's exciting.
I can agree with that one. And what do you look forward to most with your internship with the City Lights?
I think just getting that hands-on experience of really doing something towards the team and learning how everything truly works behind the scenes. Because I think as an ambassador, it was a very good experience to just watch everything from afar, and now getting like my hands on, I think that's going to be very exciting. Just seeing how all of that actually works. So
I'm excited to see the work that you get to do. I know that as a woman, it's not really our field. So how does it feel to kind of be more into it and know that you can dominate in the future?
Well, I think that sports teams need that feminine touch almost. Like we have different attributes that we can bring to the team. So I think it's awesome. I'm very ready to just jump in and dominate. I think a lot of women now more than ever are taking over, especially like leadership roles and things like that. I've seen in the Silver Knights, majority of the Silver Knights coordinators are women. And I'm like, that's awesome. So I don't know, it's exciting.
I agree, and I'm excited to see you take on that field.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, for being on here. You're going to do amazing things in the future. Thank you for telling us about your story and being in sports. We're all going to see her in the future. Make sure to tune in every Monday on the Overtime Podcast hosted by Vince D'Aliosio. Stay in the loop with the latest high school and college sports by following us on Instagram and X at Varsity Sports Show, and never miss a play.
This is Maya Perez for the Varsity Sports Show Overtime Podcast with special guest Kevany Martin. She does color commentary. Now, Kevany, could you explain what that is and a little bit of your background for the listeners?
Yeah, so I played college basketball, and then I got into the industry right out of college, worked all over the country, from the Bay Area to Charlotte to obviously in Vegas, the Midwest, covering everything. I've covered Super Bowls, everything from sideline reporting for CBS Sports Network to anchoring. I mean, I've been all over the place, but as you mentioned now, my full time focus as being a color analyst or color commentator for Learfield. I'm signed with Learfield, which is the biggest company that owns pretty much all of the NCAA rights, both men's and women's. So I do a lot of Mountain West, Big West, West Coast Conference, ACC, which sounds funny to say ACC because that's a East Coast conference, but not anymore with conference realignment. So yeah, like I said, I played college basketball, played basketball my entire life. So it's pretty much a dream come true to get paid to talk hoops, right? So that's essentially what I do. I prep the games. A lot of the teams I cover throughout the season, so I get super familiar with the coaching staff, the players, the leagues, the teams. Obviously a lot more goes into color commentary, but every time someone's like, explain your job. I'm like, I get paid to talk about basketball. So essentially that's what I do. And it's a blast. And it's tough to get into. It's really competitive. Obviously, play-by-play, color commentary are two of the most competitive jobs to get into. But once you land one, hold on to it because like I said, they're hard to come by.
Well, you said you've done sideline reporting, you've did anchoring, you've been to Super Bowls. I mean, what's one of your favorite memories?
Ooh. That's a good question, because like I said, I've done a lot of stuff. I would say the Super Bowls or Super Bowl 51, obviously, the crazy Patriots comeback. I was on the field for that and got to interview Tom Brady post-game after that. So that was a highlight. I think I did a crazy interview about 4 months before Kobe and Gigi passed away. I did an interview with both Kobe and Gigi. Some were saying that might have been the last interview that they did together. And obviously, during the interview, you don't know what's coming, but while I was doing the interview, it was special, right? And then now I have that to look back on. And I remember I referred to Kobe as Gigi's dad in the interview, and his face, that trademark Kobe Bryant smile, he lit up. So that was really special. There's been a lot throughout the years, just a lot of fun. I think what comes down to it is the people in the industry, the relationships you make. I talk about a lot in my classes about the relationships you make in this industry and how important they are, but I think that's what makes this so memorable, are the people that you get to know, whether they're in the industry, coaches, athletes, and the bonds you create through that.
Right. You said you played basketball growing up, so did you make connections from that to get into the industry? Like, how did you go about that?
So number one, I mean, I think I reiterate this in every single one of my classes. Relationships from the start are the biggest things. People look at the TV industry and they think that it's big, but long story short, it's a small industry. Everyone knows someone that knows someone, and all it takes is for one mess up, and that could tarnish your career. So I always tell people, be careful and make relationships, don't burn bridges. But to answer your question fully, in a way, some of the relationships that I made while I was playing basketball in college have carried over to the industry. Obviously, because I color commentate on women's basketball, so definitely that has carried over. But again, I think, not to keep repeating myself, but relationships transcend your college career into your professional career. And it's really important to just keep those fluid throughout.
What would be your biggest piece of advice to people who want to get into the sports industry?
Stay hungry. It's competitive. It's draining. You're going to get 10,000 no's for one yes, and all it takes is that one yes. I tell my students that all the time. I have a couple students now who recently graduated, and the job market isn't where it's supposed to be. It's kind of tough right now landing a full-time job in this industry, and I just keep telling them to stay hungry, keep your head down. All it takes is that one yes for someone to believe in you, and that's all you need. You're gonna get, I got 1,000 no's to one, and it worked out. So that's what I would say. I mean, you can talk about passion and work ethic and all that stuff, but I think what it comes down to is just staying hungry and wanting it. The want to, right? The want to do it. If you have that, it's gonna work out in this industry for sure.
Well, thank you so much. This was Maya Perez for the Varsity Sports Show Overtime Podcast with superstar Kevany Martin.
Here with Mr. Gary White, the athletic director at Estero High School. I'm Brooke Bessie with the Varsity Sports Show. And so, Mr. White, just want to get into it a little bit. You're currently the athletic director, like I said, at Estero High School. Just give us a little insight on how you got into that position and what you do in the day-to-day.
Sure, Brooke. I was a student at Estero High School when the school opened. I've been in the building about 26 years. I taught in the building for, I think, 17 or 18 years. I'm in my 8th year as the athletic director. And day-to-day operations are managing budgets for an athletic department, setting up schedules, transportation, officials, and a variety of other stuff.
Yes, sir. And so do you work directly with the coaches, and then how does that work with the facilities that you work with, and how do you manage that interaction? So you work with different facilities as well as different coaches.
100%. So for anyone who's, wondering what, sort of what's the role or what does that look like as a high school athletic director? You look at it as I'm the coach of all of the coaches in the building. In a high school setting, whether it's Estero High School down here in Southwest Florida or any local high school in the Gainesville area, the high school athletic director manages the most people inside of any building. Currently, in my role, we have about 47 coaches on staff, and that would again qualify me as the person who, other than the principal of the high school, who manages the most people on staff at any high school. We manage a budget well over $100,000 of what's coming in and what's going out at any given time, and it's an adventure.
Yes, sir. And then a couple weeks ago on the podcast, we had the Gainesville High athletic director speak with us about the impact that social media has actually had on his job. He was in the position for over 20 years, and so he just talked a little bit about how that's changed just the way that he operates a little bit. Do you notice any differences with the integration of social media into our daily lives?
Yeah, 100%. So we obviously have our high school itself has a Instagram page. We have a Facebook page. Many of our sports teams have Instagram pages, and we have to make sure that all of our coaches, athletes are following the district social media policy. And when we venture, I say we, when the coaches or players venture away from district social media policies, sometimes we run into some issues.
Yes, sir. And then just as we wrap up a little bit, what advice would you give to a person looking to get into a profession of being an athletic director?
Well, in my district, we've had some people come out of the University of Florida, at least one from the University of Florida, and another one or two people in the last 8 years in my job who have come out of the college experience and became athletic directors with no teaching or coaching experience. And unfortunately, they didn't last more than a year or two. This is sort of a position where you sort of have to buy your time, one as a teacher or an educator, to go through that process of teaching kids and then hopefully coaching a sport for a number of years. It's a difficult position to take on without being a coach or a teacher. You sort of have to get your feet in the fire a little bit and coach kids, whatever sport that you're acclimated to. to just jump into it right after college as a, let's say, a 23 or 24-year-old high school, or excuse me, college graduate, you can run into some problems. This is 100% about experience, time management, organization. It's a job that you have to be very, very good at multitasking. You can go from scheduling games to painting fields to ordering T-shirts to planning homecoming, all in the matter of minutes. I think in my world, athletic directors have an attention span of about 20 minutes because we are multitasking so much.
Thank you so much today, Mr. White, for your time. It's been great to get to talk to you. I'm Brooke Bastido, and tune in to Varsity Sports Overtime Podcast with host Vince Delicio, streaming on Spotify and all other major platforms every Monday. Stay up in the games with the latest in high school and college athletics, and follow us on Instagram and X at Varsity Sports Show.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Overtime Podcast this week. On behalf of our co-hosts, Brooke Bastedo from the University of Florida, Savannah Judnich and Maya Perez from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Will Case from Arizona State University. My name is Vince Delicio, and you've been watching and listening to the Overtime Podcast. See you next time.